The opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
And hello everyone, greetings and good evening, and welcome to Scarefest Radio. Original broadcast date, July 12th, 2019. As we say in Kentucky, we got it by the short hairs now, people. Scarefest will be here before you know it. And so we do have a couple of announcements tonight. I'm going to drop those at the 15-minute mark and the 30-minute mark with a special thing at the 45-minute mark. So we just got all kinds of stuff going on. My guest tonight is Bev McChesney. She is one of the first people that I knew from the paranormal field, at least the metaphysical field. Let me correct that, the metaphysical field. She was one of the people that when I went into the famous trip to the mystical fair and said, why doesn't stuff bother me? And she was one of the people that could see horrors and say, you don't know? Well, you're blind. But welcome, Bev.
Hello, welcome. Thank you.
And, of course, tonight my co-host is the talented and lovely Christopher Sutton. Back from his deathbed surgery. He is, You're running out of parts to replace, Chris.
I know. I went to the airport the other day, and I got frisked down because they found my first hip replacement. But I'm coming off my second hip replacement, so I'm thankful every night that I'm not a spider, because I would have 6 more to go, and I don't want that. And so I'm done finally.
You sure? I mean, you've still got like a kidney and a spleen that are original equipment. You can,
Yeah, I'd probably sell a kidney if I needed to, if I needed the money, but.
That's something we could have talked about before the show. Horrible insurance. We had a little horrible insurance thing today. That basically, without going into detail, I'll just tell you people, there is a test for something that they tell you have to get. Our insurance company, and they tell you to get it like once a year. Our insurance company actually said, no, you don't need the test. We don't see where you have this. And we're like, that's how you find out if you have this. You take the test. So that's the state of American medicine, people. If you're not coughing up a lung, just don't bother. We're going to talk. I do need to fit in a little bit. The first platinum letter went out this night. So if you've bought platinum tickets to the Scarefest, you should have a nice little email that really doesn't tell you a damn thing. No, where is that thing? It actually does tell some of the activities that you will be invited on. So look for that. Of course, it tells you that you get to pick out your room. Tells you ask you what size T-shirts. Platinum people get 2 T-shirts because it's 2 tickets. But fair enough. So anyway, platinum letters have went out in the email. So if you didn't get yours, you need to let us know. And, and then one more thing. Happy birthday to one of our biggest fans, Mr. Eric Morrison. He is one of our most loyal. Every week he's sitting there at his computer giving me a hard time. And, but Eric Morrison, happy birthday, dude.
Happy birthday, Eric.
That's pretty much what I got to start the show off with. So let's get to Bev McChesney. My earbud just fell out. Everyone, now Bev, let me get I want to get this right. Where's the official profile here? Claircognizant, clairaudient, clairsentient, psychic, and a medium. You use your abilities to offer a myriad of services. And at the Scarefest coming up, one of her favorite things, which we'll talk about this. One of her favorite things to do are gallery readings. And galleries, with my limited abilities, of course, other than this fact that it gives me a bigger chance to crack jokes to more people, Bev, I don't really like doing galleries because I feel like I'm so scattered out. Why do you like doing gallery readings so much?
Well, they're my favorite. The way my gallery works is I do this little connection with what I call the universe. And then the people in the audience can just kind of shoot questions at me as fast as they can. And the questions can be about anything. And I see what answers I get. I'm so in that zone while I'm doing it that I cease to be nervous or anxious or even know what's going on. So with that in mind, I don't have to worry about the fact that I'm standing in front of a bunch of people and which normally would make me very nervous, like being on a screen. But that's the way they work, and I just love them because they're fast-paced and because people can ask anything. We get questions like, how many shooters were there when Kennedy was assassinated? And the universe told us. So
well, don't keep us in suspense.
There were two, one to shoot Kennedy and another to shoot the shooter if he failed to shoot Kennedy, is what the universe told us.
That's believable.
And by the universe, I mean masters, God, angels, guardians, any kind of entity that's out there, we chit-chat.
Now, along those lines, see, now I would have thought that most people would say, first, how does it split up? Do people ask more personal questions, or do they ask more knowledge questions like that, or do they ask questions like, life, universe, and everything type questions?
They ask a variety. It seems that they'll be they'll ask those universal questions like, was there a Noah's Ark, or that kind of thing, or they'll ask really far out questions, who resides on planet such and such. And but once one asks a personal question, then I'm doomed, because then everybody has personal questions. And I warn them. Well, I warn them at the beginning, if you ask a personal question, it's very likely that you're going to get a very personal answer, because I have to say exactly what I hear. So I warn people, don't ask anything that you don't want all these other people to know the answer to. So that gets interesting.
Okay, now you got me wondering, what about Noah's Ark?
They said that yes, it did exist, but not quite the way we know it. That Noah, as far as Noah knew, the world was as far as he could go, which was about 100 and something hectates or whatever they're measuring.
My theory exactly.
Your theory's right. And he did build an ark, and he did put farm animals and food animals and some people on it. But to him, that was the whole world, when it was really just his world, his space in the world.
See,
that so it didn't exist.
Makes sense.
See, you're giving us useful information. That is the one thing. Now, maybe I don't ask correctly, but that has always been my complaint about my spirit guides. They tell me what I need to know for the situation at hand. But when it comes to the important questions of life, the universe, and everything, they just brush me off. It's above my pay grade.
Well, that's why I love the gallery. I can't answer questions for myself. I can't connect for myself. So in galleries, I get my answers also. I'll have other people ask my questions. So that's another reason I love the galleries.
Now,
gives me an opportunity.
The last thing I want to ask you about this, and I'm going to flip you over to Chris. Now, you call it channeling the universe.
Conversations with the universe.
Somewhere in this, there was channeling. I swear to God, there's somewhere in that bio there was a channeling.
It probably does.
But the question is, do you feel like your answers come from a single source, or is it just whoever is out there beyond the veil whispering in your ear and is taking turns? How does that information process for you?
I don't always know exactly who I'm talking to, but I always know I'm talking to the right one, if that makes any sense. It's a sense of connection. And it's different ones. If I'm talking about science, it might be a master like Einstein or Tesla. If I'm talking about religion, it may be another kind of they just send in whoever needs to answer the question. So sometimes I literally hear them. Sometimes I hear them in my head, and sometimes I just know, for lack of a better way to explain it. But I do feel a connection, and if that connection breaks, I can't answer the questions.
Fair enough. Chris, over to you.
Bev, are you able to answer every question that you're given? Do you find that?
There are times that they, for instance, they will not tell me when someone is going to die.
Mm-hmm.
That's nobody's business, and they want people to live, not worry about dying. They won't tell me lotto numbers or who's going to win the Derby,
Mm-hmm.
and they explain that of course we have free will. And there's so many people who have their own will set on those things that it's just a crapshoot when it comes to those things.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. When it comes to like individual readings, the reason I'm getting this, I have found that, and I've talked to other people in the business, that sometimes somebody sits down across from you and just kind of like, I can't make a connection here. Does that ever happen with you?
Occasionally that does happen,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to say to them, I'm sorry, I'm just not connecting. I just can't answer this. Perhaps another reader here could help you, but today is not my day to talk with you.
Yeah, and that does happen because we're not meant to to speak to be connected with everybody for some reason. I never knew why, but I've always like, okay, here's your money back, and I have to be man enough to know that I can't do it.
I've only had that happen a couple times. And then I've had times when I didn't want to talk with a person that I suggested they get counseling instead,
Mm-hmm.
or I suggested that they talk with their doctor. There are some things I just don't have any business answering. And so at those times, then I suggest they see a professional in whatever field that is that they need.
Yeah, I find that to be a very good thing to do too, because you have to be honest with people, and this as well. I mean, if you're not being honest with folks, and you're not doing them any good. Exactly. And you have to be honest with them. You have to say you need help. You have issues with this and that. As far as difficulty, what is the hardest thing for you to have to tell somebody?
Probably the hardest thing I have to tell someone is that what you're feeling in your relationship is accurate. You're feeling like it's broken. It is broken. Or, for instance, they may have a suicide in the family and they want to know more about that. And those are very hard to discuss. But I get a lot of those. When I first started reading, that's primarily who came to me. People who I attracted were individuals who had suicides. The first time I read publicly, I was at a vendor booth doing something else, and a lady came up and they just started talking, and I just had to roll with it. So,
they knew in their heart you're the person to talk to. So,
right.
Okay, back to you, Wes.
Well, we are going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we will have a celebrity announcement. Everybody, stay tuned for more Scarefest Radio.
Have you checked out the Mama Ruby's family of metaphysical and spiritual shows? The Mystical Fair in Lexington, Kentucky, Lexington's only monthly psychic and holistic healing arts fair. The Inner Light Festivals in Louisville in June and Lexington in November. And watch for Mama Ruby's Expo coming in 2020. Plus, Mama Ruby's Meta Lecture Series, featuring interesting guests speaking on fascinating subjects. Start your journey now at mamarubies.com for more information.
And welcome back, everybody, to Scarefest Radio. I am so glad that I mute Chris's mic during the commercial. He's had a truck go through the building. He was screaming at his wife. His phone rang. It's incredible the noise that goes on in that man's desk between segments. Anyway, we now are going to do our celebrity announcement. Now, she's coming back, everybody. One of our Scarefest favorites. I don't even know how many times she's been. Felissa Rose. Felissa Rose, friend of the show, friend of Scarefest, great lady, beautiful lady, and based on her IMDb, lately she's been a very, very busy lady. She has more things in filming, pre-production, post-production than most actors get to do in their life. She's getting up there on that pedestal of just no free time. But of course, famous for Sleepaway Camp and Return to Sleepaway Camp. I think that was the name of the one where she played the sheriff. Allegedly her part in Death House is bigger in the prequel. I was a little disappointed in Death House. She just was on camera. But anyway, Felissa Rose, everybody, and I'm looking forward to seeing her again. She's coming back to Scarefest. So there is our first celebrity announcement of the evening. Bev, now one thing you kind of touched on, and Chris asked it, and I'm going to ask it in a little different way. The future. I have this whole theory about why so little of the future gets predicted by psychics, however they go about it, at least accurately. But do you find that a lot of questions about future events either don't get answers or get answered in very vague, broad ways? Because I'm sure they come up.
Well, they do, and occasionally the answers sound vague to me, but then a client will say, you told me a year ago that so-and-so was going to do this, and they just did, and I just thought I'd let you know. So sometimes the little tiny vague things are the things that actually make a difference later. They only let me see about 2 years in advance, maybe 2 years ahead, and then not always clearly. Sometimes it's just pieces. And of course, I'm processing all this through a human brain, so sometimes I just get it wrong, but mostly I can go out about 2 years and it's usually not real defined. Although someone told me this week that I told them 2 years ago that their father was going to have a specific illness, and he is suffering that now. So something that just sounded like a little side comment happened.
Now, a question from the chat room. Do you have a clairaudient connection to a place or location that you may not have an explanation for? I do not I'm trying to process the question myself.
I don't have an explanation for any of the places I connect or hear from. I do occasionally actually hear with what I call my psychic ears, which is a sound that comes behind my right ear. But most often I hear it in my head. But occasionally there is an actual physical hearing from the outside of me. Where that voice is coming from, I don't know always. There's not a specific, it's like I don't go out on Saturn and connect, I don't know where those connections are coming from. I just know that if they feel wrong, I don't talk to them.
Now,
but I've only had that happen. I've only had that happen once, actually, where I felt like the connection was not one I wanted.
When you go into a place, I'm going to kind of play with the. I'm getting echo from somebody. Somebody's got their audio turned up. Okay. When you go into a place, and when I'm talking say place, I mean even like Walmart. Is your gift something that you have to concentrate on turning off? Is it something you meditate to turn on? how does that process work for you to filter out all the garbage?
Well, I sort of made a deal with the universe that the only way I would do this is if I could turn it off or turn it on. I don't want to be live streaming 24/7. So I doodle as I read or as I do galleries. People see me writing in a book and not even looking up at them. And that is my signal to the universe that I am open for business. As soon as I finish that reading or gallery, I tear those pages out and hand them to the person. And I don't remember anything about their reading after that. So that's a deal that I made in meditation with those that I talk to. I'm only going to do this for you guys if I have a way to turn it off and on. I had a friend once who was a brilliant psychic, the best I've ever known, but she was on 24/7 and couldn't live her life. And so I just refused to do that.
See, that was something that scared me, and maybe that's why mine. I accept my gifts so begrudgingly. Another gentleman that I've actually had on one of my shows came about his psychic gifts about the same time I did, under the same circumstances, because of our exposure to the same location. And his was, it was ugly. I mean, it caused problems in his life. And so I got to kind of see how he was processing it. And it kind of made me take a step back and say, okay, maybe you don't want to see dead people in the shower. You know, that type of thing. Even if they're there, just, you know. But I don't worry about that because my house is a no-ghost zone. And one of these days, when you and Jim get to come over here and sit around the deck, I want you to see. Yard's probably full of them, but not the house.
Mine is full of them. We get them on camera all the time. We get fairies on camera all the time too. But people need to know, you said, you know, my home is empty and free. People need to know that they can command things to leave them alone. I mean, you can say, you're not welcome in my house, you have to stay outside. Or if you're actually communicating with them. A lot of the entities that go through our properties don't even see us. You know, we may see them, but they don't necessarily see us. They're just kind of on a different vibrational plane. If that makes any sense.
That's where my bouncers come in. Chris, over to you.
You hit on one of my favorite topics these days. You're talking about the Fae. And a lot of my stuff I've been working on has to deal with that type of stuff, with the elementals, the little people, the big people, as we call the big people, of course, are the Sasquatch and the Bigfoot, and the little people are like what they call the Fae, but they're actually from this continent as well. So, what's been your experience with the Fae, Bev?
Well, first of all, let me say this about Bigfoot. In one of the galleries, someone asked where they come from, what they're coming through portals. That's how they see them one moment and the next moment they don't. They are definitely a portal being. They're popping in and out. So that's why they'll be in an area and you'll look up and they're gone again when you clearly saw them. So that's what the universe told us about that, is they're coming through portals. Mm-hmm. Just because they can. As far as the Fae, I have sitting on the table in front of me a little bowl of butter, and that's because those little fairies tend to like gifts. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite stories, when I first realized that they were real, I had left my home, was trying to go to work, and I couldn't find my keys. And I looked everywhere, trying to find them, finally gave up, got the spare key, walked out, got in the car, and this motion caught my eye, and they're hanging on a plant rack were my keys, swinging. So I realized then I was being messed with. So I got the keys, went back in the house, and I said out loud to whomever would listen, you can touch anything in this house you want to, but it has to stay in the house because that's dangerous for me. Yeah. I've had earrings reappear that disappeared. I've had little gifts show up next to the butter. It sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy. Oh, no. But yeah, they interact with us quite often.
No, I'm in the habit of giving gifts and, and thanking them and, I go out and speak to them and, you want to stay on good terms with them.
Yes, you do.
And you might explain to our listeners why you want to stay on good terms with the Fae.
Well, for one thing, things will disappear.
Yeah.
I mean, they will just take what they want if you make them mad. They'll mess with your animals. They'll mess with you. They'll leave your house unlocked. They will do tricks, and they just want to be respected. And we catch them on camera in our living room all the time. Brandon with the Tennessee Wraith Chasers just took one of my videos home of both an entity and a fairy, so he could put them on his equipment and try to blow them up and see a little bit more about them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm anxious to hear what he found. But yeah, we've got a little camera sitting in the living room that we installed just to watch our pets, and we catch stuff on them all the time.
Yeah, that's cool. I got a picture of my dog. I had her out for a walk, and she had her nose right up to something blue. And it's glowing, and I didn't see it at the time. I was just taking pictures of her, and I looked at her and I said, oh my goodness, there's a little fairy.
Yeah.
And these aren't these little cutesy things like Tinkerbell, folks. This is a whole different level, whole different ball game. And they're tons of fun as long as you're.
And there's a lot more than the fairies too. I was walking my dog near our house once and kept feeling like I was being watched, and looked up in a tree, and there sitting on a branch with his back against the tree was just this really little evil, about 4 foot tall, mean looking thing. And the way he turned around and looked at me, I turned around and came home. Well, my husband Jim, I'm sure, was skeptical until a couple months later he ran into the same thing.
Yeah.
So living in the park near our house.
Yeah. And those are like the Native American, those are the North American little people, so to speak. There's different names for them. The Seneca call them Pukwudgies, and different names and what like that. So that's all over the place. So, what other different experience? I mean, obviously we're talking about the faith, but there's other types of odd things besides being psychic, which can be odd enough.
Pretty
and I understand that it's odd enough as it is. But you have all these other experiences. What are some of the other? Well, you would say even outside of that box, which is outside of the normal box as it is.
Well, first of all, you mentioned the little glowing things. That's how we've seen them, as blue or green glowing little spots.
Yeah.
Bigger blue spots, we found out, are actually kind of souls hanging around. That's something we found out recently in a gallery. When you look and see blue around someone. But other things that I've experienced, well, I have found that I don't really enjoy talking to earthbound entities. I prefer to talk to those that have passed on over, crossed over. And so I do work hard to not chit-chat with those guys. They get on my nerves. And so that's one thing when I get exposed to, I kind of work my way around. Other things, anything that people talk about, it's out there.
Yeah.
Those are not just legends and stories. They're out there. It's just whether it's a cryptid or whether it's a fae or whether it's a ghost, whether it's a UFO, whatever, they're out there.
Now, have you had any?
We are not alone.
Oh no! Have you ever had any UFO experiences before?
Only that I've seen them when I was a child. I've seen them a couple times. I had a grandmother who was great, who had a telescope on her back porch, and she would go out with me and we'd watch the stars. And several times we saw something that clearly was not of this world or a star. So only that's the experience I've had.
Yeah, I had a couple very minor, stuff I'd see in the sky that I knew weren't airplanes and stuff like that. So, okay, we're going to take it out and send it back to Wes right now.
It is time for another commercial break. Everybody, we'll be right back with our second celebrity guest announcement of the evening. Be right back.
Do you feel lost in life? Do you seem to be stuck in emotions that are not yours? Is your home not the sanctuary it should be? Contact Spirit Mechanics, where they take a team approach to your metaphysical and spiritual problems. Spirit Mechanics specializes in aura cleansing, stone attunement, attachment removal, and house cleansings. Spirit Mechanics tailors their approach to your individual spiritual path and needs. Find them every month at Lexington, Kentucky's Mystical Fair, mysticalfairlex.com, or on Facebook by searching Spirit Mechanics. That's MECHANIX. Spirit Mechanics, for your spiritual health and well-being.
Coyote Chris Sutton.
Shamanism.
Spiritual advisement.
Paranormal investigations.
Inspirational presentations.
Bringing light to the darkest places for over 20 years. Go to coyotechris.com to learn more.
And welcome back, everybody, to Scarefest Radio. This one, I'm going to stick my neck out and say that if you pay any attention at all, it's not a big surprise. Matter of fact, they posted on Facebook today about some stuff they were bringing to Scarefest. So if you follow them, you already seen it. I'm sorry, they had me do a banner today. I didn't know they were coming until today. Matter of fact, they threw their name out, said not confirmed, and then they posted on Facebook. I said, I think we can announce them now. Everybody, Christopher and Rachel Booth are coming back, and of course, Death Tunnel. What is all that other stuff he's been doing? Dead Still, Death Tunnel, Spook. Those are the ones he's famous for, and he's working on Attachment. I really thought that's something I'm going to talk to them about. They have milked this whole Attachment project for way too long. That's what they were talking about last year at Scarefest, and now they've been working on it all year, and they're still talking about it. Time to move on. Time to move on.
Build up is everything.
Yeah, I guess so. But anyway, now the very special thing that'll be coming up at the 45-minute mark, we're actually going to dial them in. They have something they want to tell us. So and I swear to God, if it is the same thing they posted on Facebook today, I'm never calling them again. That's just
yeah. Okay.
Just give me an exclusive.
I'll remember that.
Give me an exclusive. Well, actually, I might, because especially if I get them on camera. Rachel's kind of sweet. But tonight's just a phone call. Tonight's just a phone call, but we will be talking to them here in just a little while. Okay, Bev, now a couple things that you brought up. Now, just like you leave butter out. See, I can't do that because my dog likes butter. And so I don't even have the option to leave butter out for my fairy, which I do have one. Not whether there's more or not, I don't know. I don't worry about things like that. But I have one. And once, it's funny, I was told I had a fairy, and I went, fairies were always one of the things that I really didn't think about one way or the other. It's, I didn't deny them, but I didn't really concentrate on them. And like a week later, I had a case that I said, I need a fairy. And it was about a pet situation. And it worked. It's funny. We called on the fairy to go have a talk with whatever was bugging this person's dog remotely. And we checked back, and they said, hey, yeah, he's quit doing that now. We didn't tell them that's what we were doing, so it was kind of fun. Anyway, question from the chat room we had a minute ago was, do you as a psychic ever feel a connection to a location, like you walk into a building and we'll call it deja vu or whatever, but feel a connection to a location or a building that you really don't have a this world explanation for?
I was that way the first time I went to New Orleans. I felt like I was coming home and felt a very deep connection. Then years later, under hypnosis, I was having a past life regression with this amazing lady here in Lexington and found out that was one of my past lives in a bayou right outside of New Orleans. Guess what my name was? Mama Ruby. That's where that name came from. That's where the name Mama Ruby came from.
We've got the origination of the name now. I had never asked that story.
Mama Ruby.
Now, here's a question that I know that I've asked you before. But I don't remember the answer anyway, so it doesn't matter. When did you realize you were psychic in one way or the other, and how did your gift progress over the years?
I always sort of knew things. I would like, if for instance, if a politician said something, I always knew what the rest of the story was. And I just thought I had very good logic. I just thought that I could just understand things a little easier. I never dreamed of it being a psychic gift. Then as a kid going through school and all, I realized that I wouldn't really absorb my work if I wasn't doodling, if I wasn't writing. And realized then that doing that puts me in a different place. So I knew that I was attuned to some things, but I always had jobs where I couldn't publicly say I did that. You don't work for a former governor and in the governor's office and then tell everybody you're psychic. So I had to just kind of repress it for a very long time, based on the jobs I worked and such. And then when I retired from those jobs and started working at the fairs with our Home Sweet Home company, I started getting pushed to come out of the psychic closet and be more active, and that was sort of the tool. I kept having other psychics tell me, you have got to do this. The universe is really getting angry at you that you're not offering this to people. So I finally took that giant leap and came out of my closet. But I've known forever that something was a little different.
Do what I do. Just tell the universe to chill. Just
I did.
Cool your heels, universe. All things in good time.
Yeah.
Now we do have a fairy question from the chat room. Someone wants to know that for the rest of us out here that are not very cognizant. I like that word.
I like that.
How would we know if we had one in our home?
Things would start missing. Your animals would perhaps be sitting still minding their own business and all of a sudden take off running like they've been scalded. Earrings would disappear and come back. Things you laid down that you knew you laid there that weren't there anymore. They're very much tricksters. They have a lot of fun. So that was how I realized something was hanging out. And you may, if you're very relaxed or in meditation or coming out of meditation where you're very relaxed, you may see those little green or blue little flashes of light. Or you may get a camera like I have and see them running through your house at night.
I can't trust a camera. I cannot tell dust from fairies from ghost from anything else. So I'm not going. But I do like the thing about stuff disappearing.
That's the best way, when things just disappear. And, I had a missing earring and I laid the match to it by the butter and the other one came back. So.
Well, there you go. You see, I'm getting lots of useful information tonight.
You need that.
Chris, over to you.
Not that Wes will pay any attention to what you're telling him, but
next time I'm missing something, I am going to try that. By golly,
try it and see.
Try it and see then. I only told you that 5-6 years ago. Anyway, take your time. There's no big deal.
The dog will eat the butter.
Yeah.
No, they like honey also.
The way you rub such a tab with a fay, I'm sure you're gonna have to put out a side of beef, and butter's not gonna cut it. You need to make up for some of your stuff. Anyway, okay. So, like, I understand. Your predicament. You're psychic and you work for the man. Basically, you cannot. And I had that issue myself in that with my children, not wanting to have a weird dad. But so you finally you tell the universe, yes,
I'm ready.
I'm your servant, and that's basically what you become. So how did you start out?
Well, the hardest part was finding my tool, what it was that would turn it on for me. And one particular psychic that I go to personally kept saying, "It's in your hands. It's in your hands." And I thought, reading palms? No, that wasn't for me. And one day I was just sitting there and realized I was doodling, and I thought, wait a minute, this is what I've done my whole life. And I tried it, and that was my tool. So that's the hardest thing, I think, for people who find themselves, who find their gifts wanting to come forward, is finding the tool that allows you to do it in a way that feels safe and easy and legal, right. Whatever, a way to do it that it feels right. And right. So that was the hardest part, was finding my tool. The other part is you just have to have absolute faith that what you're doing is what is supposed to be done, and you have to do it with absolutely no fear. You can't fear any of it, or it's not going to work.
And you got to say exactly what you get.
I have to say exactly what I hear.
That was tough for me. That was hard for me.
There has been one incident where I did, even though I was supposed to say it, I refused, and then they agreed that it was not safe for me to say it. It was information that could have put me in a not safe situation.
Right. Certainly.
And so that time I balked, and they agreed with me that it was okay. But other than that, I have to say exactly what I hear, and that's very hard sometimes to give people information they may not want.
Yeah, you bring in an interesting point. You do have to have boundaries. You talked a little bit about it before, but you have to have boundaries with you when you have to be able to shut off, and that's a very important gift. But this one, I'm going to do it this way.
Right.
And this is if you want me, this is how it's got to be. And you have to be some type of. You're going to have to get pulled out of your box sometimes. That's going to happen.
Exactly. And there are times that something just hits, and I have to take it.
Right. So, exactly right.
And usually it's something that needs to be said or done, or it's a timing thing where it's really important that person hear it right then. And in those instances, it'll come on through. Yeah,
exactly. So okay, so you've got your awareness, you've got your method. Now it's time to turn yourself loose on the world. How did you get out there and start? Did you just hang a sign out in front of the house and say, Madam Bev?
We had a business, a jewelry business called Home Sweet that we set up at Metaphysical Fairs. Mm-hmm. And so it was sort of easy for me to just slide over into another space and start reading. And the first time I did it, I was terrified to do it publicly, but I just had to have faith and jump in, and if it worked, it was fine, and if it didn't work, then I knew it wasn't going to work, and I just took that chance, and it worked really well. Mm-hmm. So I was just in an environment. The fairs are a good environment for anyone who has something they want to understand that way to explore. Like the Mystical Fair that is this weekend, we have a lot of people who come every month because it's their safe place. It's their safe place to come and explore those questions they have or those gifts they have, because everyone there will talk with you and help walk you through it or get you to the right person. Mm-hmm. So I had the advantage of already being in that environment, and so that was helpful.
Yeah. So you'd already seen it in practice, and so it was easier for you to slide in that. Exactly. So what made you because I know you go through this time, you're not sure, and what is it? Did any one thing happen where it's like you thought to yourself, yeah, I accept my gifts. I truly believe that I'm here to do this.
The person that walked up to me at the show, whose son who committed suicide was standing right behind her, and who walked up to me and who had not grieved and had not been able to deal with it at all. The universe said, you have to talk to her now. Mm-hmm. And here I was in a vendor booth by myself at a busy fair, and for 30 minutes, not a soul came to that booth. Nobody bothered me. The universe made sure that I had the lady's attention and she had mine. And it was so important for her to understand what was going on with her son and how he was now, because of course everybody told her he was going to hell because he committed suicide, and she was dealing with that. Sure. All those things. And at that moment with that one, and I do know how it helped her, I thought, okay, I have to. If I tell people the day it ceases to help is the day I quit doing it. Because it's not fun. It's work. And the day it ceases to help is when I won't do it anymore.
I hear you. Great answer. Back to you, Wes.
Everybody, we're going to take our final commercial break. When we come back, we will dial in for a moment or two Mr. Christopher Booth and his lovely wife, Rachel. We'll be right back.
Everyone is talking about CBD oil. Most of us know that CBD is a cannabis compound that has significant medical benefits, but does not make people high. Its benefits include pain relief, anti-seizure properties, anxiety relief, fights cancer, reduces the risk of diabetes, and it is even used as a sleep aid. Blue Leaf Naturals CBD and hemp products are full-spectrum hemp extract oils. They use only hemp grown in Kentucky, supporting Kentucky farmers and businesses and helping you and your family stay healthy and well. Blue Leaf Naturals, created with care from seed to shelf. Visit their website at blueleafnaturals.com. Blue Leaf Naturals, a Kentucky proud company.
Chris's hips have got to get better because during the commercial breaks, he's moaning and groaning. It's like working in a rest home here. Anyway, our newest sponsor, Akashic Awareness, a metaphysical healing and learning center unlike any other in Kentucky. Elizabethtown, Kentucky. A large selection of crystals, gems, and minerals greet you the minute you walk in the door, right about the time that Raven, the official greeter dog of Akashic Awareness, is there with her tail wagging. The name Akashic Awareness comes from Mark's love for the Akashic records and the fact that nothing can materialize, for example, spiritual growth, without awareness, which is not an aspect of consciousness, it's a knowing. Anyway, check them out. They got all types of healing and spiritual stuff. I can't even process all the things on their website that they offer. But one thing I will tell you, they will be at the Mystical Fair this weekend. The Mystical Fair in Lexington, Saturday and Sunday. Go to mysticalfairlex.com to find out more about that. But stop by their booth. They've always got a lot of interesting. They've got those singing bowls where you rub your finger in them. Those things are so neat. Check them out. And like I said, mysticalfairlex.com for more information that's going on this weekend. Okay, now I need to dial in. I just love doing this on the fly. Add people to the call. Okay, we're going to go. All right. Last time I talked to him on the phone was 8 months ago.
You know they travel by horse-led coach, don't you?
What's that? What?
They go by horse-bound coaches. He and Rachel, you know, sit out there with the horses and stuff.
Oh, okay.
They keep that creepy.
The pain meds are kicking in. I got you.
No, not yet. I ain't taking it. I will for the next hour. No, I'm not. I gotta stay straight.
All right.
I can't drink bourbon either.
Hello.
Hello, Rachel.
Hi.
Everyone, we have
How
Rachel.
are you?
I am just fine. We have Rachel Booth on the line. I'm sure Christopher has not wandered far. Rachel, there must have been some reason that you all wanted me to call you tonight, other than just to hear my lovely voice.
Oh, we just wanted to tell you you're sexy.
You're very lovely, Wax.
Oh my God, Rach, how drunk are you, babe? It's Scouty Chris, honey. How drunk are you?
Oh, I'm not drunk like I was last time. I'm sorry. Forgive me. That was Layla's fault.
Yeah, actually, I want you all to know when they asked me about you calling in, I actually said, are they going to, if they can call, we can call them in if they're not in a bar or driving in a car.
And of course,
actually, we're in a room full of haunted dolls, so I think that kind of takes care of it all, don't you think?
Well, we can deal with haunted dolls. I might just do an experiment. Okay, you all are bringing this haunted bazaar, I understand, to the Scarefest.
Yes, we're bringing a whole brand new kind of excitement your way.
Tell the listeners about the haunted bazaar.
Well, the Haunted Bazaar all started when we were getting props for our new movie, The Attached, and we were looking for things that had incredible stories. I mean, really epic, scary, touching, emotional stories. And we came across something from the real Emily Rose story, which is actually the girl named Annalise Michel. And we were able to get the original exorcism kit they used in the Annalise Michel exorcism. And when we were able to get that and tell an incredible story, which we are doing in our new film, The Attached, we started coming across all kind of incredible, haunted, and unusual, strange objects. And at that point, it said, hey, we got to show these to the world because the stories are incredible. And just to be able to be in the room with some of these items that are truly, not only some of them are scary, but some of them are very enlightening, it'll blow you away. We showed some of them at a convention a couple of weeks ago. I think it was Joe Chin from Ghost Hunters. He started crying when he touched one of these objects because it was so beautiful for him. It's just an incredible concept when you get to stand in the realm of this mystique, this mystery.
I love the feeling of, I mean, her whole basement is full of haunted objects. So when you go downstairs, it's so overwhelming, the energy and the excitement down there. And we just, when we were talking to Layla, we kind of took over a Mexican restaurant and we said, we need to do something with this. And well, here we are doing something about it.
Now, the follow-up question to that is, now you have many lovely historic haunted items. Now, I'm sure I would love hearing the stories about the items, and I would love the history. But what if some random bearded light worker were to walk in your booth and, like, start exercising shit?
Well, if they feel that's necessary, then let them be, I guess.
It's not necessary. I just like dicking around with things, and that's one of the things I've always wondered. These people with these haunted museums. What if I'm really as gifted as the psychics tell me I am, and I can just go in and just like put you out of business? It's like then you just got you've got an ugly doll collection.
It's not really a business, though. What it is being able to feel something from an object, and then obviously it connects with you. And we welcome anybody to come in and do what they feel they need to be, because I think an object will hold or it will leave depending if it's supposed to. I know that opening the Annalise Michel box, the real exorcism of Emily Rose, was when I remember when it first arrived, I was very scared about opening it up. I mean, who wouldn't be, because of all the history attached to it. So when we did eventually open it up, there wasn't any of that dark energy that everybody's worried about. It was an incredible light of
very
hope and faith.
Divine feeling. It's like the amount of prayer that happened around it, even for people that aren't religious, the spiritual concept of constant prayer and divinity around it is very enlightening just for what it is.
Plus, and you all have got it now, and you all like fart rainbows and have pet unicorns and stuff. You just totally off the charts in love and all that kind of crap.
Yeah, we have glitter that we toss wherever we go.
But are you going to bring the painting of Rachel that you keep in the attic that it ages and she doesn't?
I could bring her underwear.
That's not. I promise you, that will not be in the haunted museum.
The underwear ages. The stuff under the underwear doesn't.
Oh my God!
Had to take it there, didn't he? Had to take it there, didn't he?
I have a reputation to live up to you, Wes. You know that.
Now, okay, one more question I got for you. Okay, The Attached. We got the sneak peek at Scarefest last year. How long are you going to milk this before we get to see this damn thing?
Well, Phil's here, and actually he can answer that.
Yeah, he'll tell you how long we're going to milk that.
How long are we going to milk that, Phil?
I just think that was so tactfully said. How are you doing, Matt? How are you doing?
Doing great.
Well, yeah, I think what's going to be really wonderful, we're doing some scenes right now. The issue with, I think, The Attached is when we first started it, we had some really, really fantastic stories. But when we started making it, we found 6 or 7 more epic stories about attachments, true stories that were just out of this world. So we had to schedule and made sure that we finished. This is a series that we're doing, not a film. So, very similar to Black Mirror or something like a Twilight Zone. So it was really important to get the best of the stories. Some of them are epic. And, we're not talking about just the doll. We're talking about, like Stephen King stuff with motor vehicles. We're talking about autopsy tables that people wake up in the middle of the night being operated on. These are all true stories. Are amazing. So we wanted to make sure that we got all those. So we'll be working on that for the next few months. By the time September comes out of Scarefest, you'll be treated to a full-blown trailer of the whole series. So it's going to be really mind-blowing. So putting everything into this that we can, creatively and artistically.
Emotionally.
Oh, emotionally, that goes without saying.
And all of our glitter that we throw and farting rainbows and such.
Yeah, so just think of it like a haunted Black Mirror, basically, series. It's pretty incredible. It's not like a documentary series like a haunting or a ghost story or something like My Ghost Story. What it is they're actually filming parts based on true stories, and then the real people are involved in it. But it's more, we wanted to do something more epic, more creative, more big.
More booth.
Yeah, more booth. Something unique.
Well, good luck and looking forward to seeing it and all of your haunted items. And no, I won't exercise your items just because you've taken all the fun out of it. You made me feel guilty. That I might.
You should feel guilty.
I'll throw glitter at you, and then you'll feel perfectly fine.
And the funny part is, the glitter will she'll just peel it off like one of her shoulder pads. Because I'm sure at some point she will be wearing a dress that has glitter on it through the course of the weekend at the Scarefest XII. Everybody, we've had the booze on the line. Rachel and Christopher St. Booth have been on the line with us. We've got a little. Anything else you all need to say before I let you go? I've kind of hogged the direction of the conversation.
Scarefest is one of the best conventions ever, and we want to see you there, and we can't wait to give you all a big, big hug.
Not only are they family, everybody that comes there is so awesome and wonderful, and we just love everybody.
And we love you back.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
Oh, more glitter.
Yeah, more glitter. Okay, everybody, we're running out of showtime. We've got we're going to cut it off here in a minute. Bev McChesney has been our guest tonight, and she's been filling us in on psychic stuff. One last thing before we go, I have to bring up because you talk about the universe and it's like keeping your fairy happy and all that. We slaughtered, yes, people. I am a farmer. I'm a meat eater, a carnivore, and all that. We had a beef slaughtered, and for the first time in my life, when we had the beef slaughtered, I actually thanked the beef.
Thank you. The universe thanks you for doing that. I will tell you that animals know why they're here. They understand their purpose here. Where we get it wrong is the disrespect, not being grateful for their sacrifice, not blessing the food, not being grateful for the food, not eating all the food instead of wasting it. That's where they get upset. They know who they are. They know why they're here. They would just appreciate a more gentle way of passing and some more respect as they go through that passing.
Well, I have made that transition.
Good. It's a good transition to make. It's one of the things that the universe really wants people to understand, that yes, we're here. We are here to sustain you, but we would appreciate some respect,
say thank you,
dignity, and some gentleness.
Just say thank you. Everybody, this has been Scarefest Radio. Bev, thank you so much for coming on tonight, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody. She will be doing. I'm sure you will be packed. Remember, everybody, gallery messages from the universe with Bev. Scarefest Radio. We'll be back.
The opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello everyone, and I hope you stuck around from Scarefest Radio for tonight's presentation of Body and Spirit, brought to you by Mama Ruby's family of metaphysical and holistic and spiritual events. Speaking of that, this weekend is Mystical Fair weekend in Lexington, Kentucky. Go to mysticalfairlex.com. They are the sponsor of this show, and walk in there and make sure they know that you heard about the fair right here on Scarefest Radio's Body and Spirit. Tonight, I don't even remember why this came to mind. Chris Sutton stuck around. He was my co-host for the previous hour. Chris Sutton is I finally caught him doing something he shouldn't have been doing.
That was stretching, man. Sit for an hour already. But of course, Chris is a regular on as a host on that show, and regular educational guest on this show. He is a shaman, Coyote Chris Sutton, he calls himself. But I about a month ago, I don't know why it popped into my head, but I wanted to know more about spirit animals. And the reason, and I don't remember why it came up, except it was probably some meme going around on Facebook about spirit animals. Now, to give everybody a little background on my own thing, spirit animals were not, to me that was always a shamanic tradition, Chris. That's where that really came from. So, he's, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in other words, it didn't fit into my Judeo-Christian philosophy, so I never gave it much thought. And then I had Willie Windwalker was he's a shaman out of Louisville, and he told me when he was doing a reading for me, he said, "You have a spirit animal," and I said, "Okay, fine." And he described it to me, and he described. Now this is where I am told that my spirit animal is a red wolf. Now, I've never felt like I've connected with it except calling on it to help me on a particular case I was working. But he said the interesting thing about lots of people have wolves for spirit animals. That's not uncommon. But he said yours was the first one I ever saw that circled. He said yours paces. It's like waiting to rip someone's face off. That type of thing. It's very protective, in other words. So, first of all, of course, Chris thinks my spirit animal is a skunk. Well, we might go into that a little bit later.
That's because of familiarity. We'll talk about why you get certain spirit animals. There's different ways to get them.
But first thing, because it gets thrown around so much, I was curious. What is the proper way, if there is a proper way, or is it individual, a person to find out and connect with their spirit animal?
Usually, sometimes, you've got to, when it comes to any type of spirit guides or things like that, in the traditions that I know about, whether they be a spirit or a animal, you have to be kind of ready for it. You may already have it, but until you show interest in that type of thing, generally it doesn't come around. Now, in your case, we went and saw Willie, and he said, "Okay, Wes, you have this red wolf that's doing this around you." You run into the right person to tell you what it is. So basically, it kind of boils down to, most time you have to either actively seek it, or spirit puts you in line with somebody who's going to deliver the news to you. And in your case, that's usually how it works. You have to kind of have somebody kind of beat you over the head a little bit to get it down. So
no argument.
I open up to yeah. I mean, it's every tradition is different. I mean, in their own ways, but by and large, I mean, in some cultures everybody has them, but you have to go out and find them. Some of the planes, I imagine a part of your vision quest was to see what animals came around you and things like that. What animals came to you in your dreams, and every time you dreamed of an animal or something like that, you go back to the old shaman, the old medicine person, and tell them what you dreamed about this animal and that sort of thing. Or conversely, if you see this animal keep coming around you all the time, that's a different way of how might it come about.
Now, I can tell you I've never had a wolf come around me, although that video that's circulating on Facebook of the little baby wolf howling, cutest thing ever. But I've never had a wolf come around. I've never dreamt about... Thinking about it, after you mentioned that, I cannot remember ever dreaming about any animal. I mean, it just... now, I'm not saying I haven't. I'm just saying... It didn't leave a lasting impression on me. Now the follow up to that previous question is, now once a person, once a person connects to their spirit animal, but what is the benefit of is there a benefit to connecting to your spirit animal?
Well, it can give you a sense of who you are, and also bring you messages. And that's probably the most important thing, is that these animals, those are the important two things to me. Because, like with coyote, all right, so I got coyote tattoos on my arms. It came to me in several different ways through dreams and through actual close encounters and that type of thing. But the reason I keep these on my arms is because it reminds me of who I am. And a lot of times the animals that we are, and you can have more than one spirit animal, but the animals that you are connected with will display certain things about you that you need to be focusing on. Like, let's look up like the wolf, okay, which I got a handy little sheet here. Yeah, characteristics and behaviors that no longer serve your spiritual purpose are being called from your consciousness. Make cooperation a priority over competition. And so it'll give you these messages like, all right, Les, you need to kind of chill out and to get rid of things you don't need anymore. And
God, ain't that the damn truth?
I know, yeah, yeah. And
I didn't need a wolf to tell me that, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, but that's what I mean. It reflects your personality, kind of. I mean, and sometimes you start with one thing, like you with Brother Skunk. But these are animals that you have a lot of contact with, and so maybe even Skunk's got something to tell you. Maybe not, it doesn't seem like it, but you stop and think about these. If you look at the world as nothing's an accident, you dream about something, you have close encounters with some type of animal. Like take a wolf. He said you've never seen a wolf. You're not going to see a red wolf in Kentucky because they're all dead. They were hunted out a long time ago. I don't know if they're doing any wolf restoration in Kentucky, but you're probably not going to see one. A friend of mine in England, Alan Tickhill, would call that a totem animal, which means an animal you're not ever around, but you can, it does exist, and it's something that's important to you. You dream about it, a medicine person tells you about it, how it's close to you, how it's behaving around you. And so in that case, Willie is telling you that this red wolf is being very protected. You'll never see one, and it'll come up to your back door. It's still there. It's just in a different form. So it came to you in a different way. And so that it has just as much importance as if like one of my first animals was the hawk, and I saw him constantly my first year or so in study. And so but that, in that case, that is a sign from Spirit that you have messages coming in. You keep your eyes open, ears open. The reminders you to act like you're supposed to act, to be who you're supposed to be. And that's one of the hardest things. They're all helpers to us on our medicine path, on our mystical path, to keep your ass in line and to remember who you are and what you're here to be. or to start reminding you, hey, you need to get on the path to who you're supposed to be. The wolf was circling you to protect you because you're getting ready to learn new things, getting ready to go through new times and things like that. And you did, and after that, you went through a lot of rough stuff. And so, I mean, and that wolf's there to help keep you together, to protect you. And that's what that spiritual power is. I mean, is it a real wolf? No, it's not a real wolf. But it is the energy of that wolf, the power of that wolf, and that means a certain thing. Every wolf has a certain power.
See, I don't want to say it bothered me, but maybe it did bother me a little bit, because now the first reading I got from him, he said it was generic. It was a wolf. Mm-hmm. Then the second time, or another time that he was with me, he said. Then he got specific. It was a red wolf, and then I actually Googled it, and I mean the poor things are practically extinct. They live in like 1 or 2 preserves, and I'm thinking, oh great. I drew the animal that in 10 years won't even be on this earth. Although maybe that's much as myself. But like once again, it actually the timing on it was funny, in that a case that I worked like just a week or 2 later, this visualization, if you will, of having my own wolf actually was very applicable to that event. And so I do, and I've always said that's one thing about, that's why I like getting psychic readings. I always feel like I when I'm given information, specific information, that means I need it soon. True. And it's not a year down the road. It's I need it then. So I do appreciate that. Everybody, we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break. We'll be right back with more Body and Spirit.
Have you checked out the Mama Ruby's family of metaphysical and spiritual shows? The Mystical Fair in Lexington, Kentucky, Lexington's only monthly psychic and holistic healing arts fair. The Inner Light Festivals in Louisville in June and Lexington in November. And watch for Mama Ruby's Expo coming in 2020. Plus, Mama Ruby's Meta Lecture Series featuring interesting guests speaking on fascinating subjects. Start your journey now at mamarubies.com for more information.
And everyone remember, the Mystical Fair Lexington is Lexington's only monthly psychic and holistic healing arts fair. Whipple Court, Lexington, Kentucky. They've got foot detox, all types of healers come to it. The admission is just $5 for the day, $8 for the weekend. Although I've never actually went both days. But they got readers, psychics. If you're interested in just finding out more about this, it is, as our previous guest said, Bev said, it's a safe space. No pressure. I've walked through that building and not had any of them do more than say hi. In other words, they're not going to flag you over and say, here, come on, I need to read your aura. That's not the way it works. They do have free seminars throughout the day. So there's some things if you just want to sit and learn. And you can pre-book. Matter of fact, most of the psychics, you need to pre-book. They actually, by the time the fair rolls around, their calendar, their dance card is already full. So go to mysticalfairlex.com to find out more. And if you want to take a chance, book with our previous guest, although I bet you she's already booked up. I bet you by the end of showtime, I bet she's already booked up. But there's lots of other great ones that are there. Give them a look. Now, one thing Chris mentioned, we're talking tonight about spirit animals, just because I like animals. One thing you mentioned, people should not confuse. I do believe, and I try to watch this. This is one of those things that I've always kind of ignored. But now you kind of alluded to it, where you will see an animal that's out of place. And I'll quite often see them more than once. So I do try to watch for, because here on the farm, there's not that many animals that stand out. But I do try to watch, for the ones that seem out of place. A couple that come to mind. See if these mean anything to you, Mr. Shaman. Now, okay, the crane, the big tall bird. Now, there's nothing unusual about a crane per se. We have ponds. They like eating frogs. But we do have one here on the farm that on occasion lets you get like rock throwing distance from it, which is highly unusual. And it doesn't happen all that often, but just the other day, we just drove right up on top of him, and he's looking at us like, it's cool. So I don't know if cranes have any specific meaning, but I try to watch for unusual deer. I've been told that they have meanings. Lots of birds do, but that's kind of out of my wheelhouse. What are some of the... Do you happen to know some of the things that people should look for?
Well, first you talk about the crane. I'm not going to sit here and say I know every freaking animal. I got my Kindle here with my my stuff in it, so I keep notes, and I have little books that I use. The crane means do what you need to do to bring greater balance into your life. It's a time of great abundance and plenitude, and one in which you won't want for anything. It means it comes prosperity. Cranes are about prosperity, and actually can also mean long life as well. So, which could be a blessing or a curse for you, considering how you look at it. But also about going in the future, that fear, trepidation. It's in other words, chill out right now. Things are, it's like things could get better. But about bringing balance to yourself, bringing balance to your life, and everybody talks about get grounded, and it makes you insane after a while because people keep saying that. But to be able to be grounded, you have to come to realization, come to grips, and come to know all about yourself and the things that bother you and why they bother you and why you need to have them stop bothering you. And bring in, if you need to work less, I know it's hard for you to do that, and you need to pull back a little bit because it means bring in more. If you're too much in the physical world, you need to get into the mental and spiritual a little more.
I don't worry about working too much, but I will say, and this would play in, of course, then I can tell the crane, hey, dude, I already know this. I am trying to create more balance in my life in that I've realized that I've got to quit stressing over work. It's one thing to have plenty to do. I don't mind being busy. I like being busy. But I've started once again making an effort to just not worry about stuff. Yeah. Just let the things happen that are going to happen. And then I get news, and we're not going to talk about it on the show, but then I get news this last couple of weeks that my stress level is getting ready to go off the charts. Right. So I'm actually preparing for that.
So Crane would say to you, okay, smart ass, if you know all this, why do I have to keep coming back to remind you?
Well, he might have had to come back to remind me because, come to think of it, the timetables were kind of interlinked there. In other words, about the time I made up my mind to get rid of stress, then something else stressful. The universe just, but something. So in other words,
it's going to keep giving you lessons till you keep learning them. Okay, so don't even want, even if it has stress written all over it, marked, special delivery for Wes. Say I'll take the package, but I ain't taking the stress with it.
Now
I'm just not going to respond that way.
Now we're going to jump over to skunks. Now, anybody that follows my career here on the farm knows that if there's skunks are just not one of my favorite animals, and it's not just that they smell. I'll put it this way: any of you nature lovers out there, and believe me, I love nature. I am an earth guy. I love all of God's creatures except for skunks. And if you think I'm being harsh, until you have two of them fornicate under your open window, don't judge me. Now, if you've had that happen, if you've had two skunks frolic under your bedroom window on a nice, cool spring morning, then come at me, dude. But otherwise, and see, and here on the farm, another part of my task, if you will, my lot in life, is I have to protect animals. And I know a lot of people, skunks are omnivores. They will eat anything, from the food that we grow in the garden to the chickens we raise in our hen house. If it will fit in their mouth, they will eat it. They're just not as vicious as some other animals. They won't go out of their way to kill a chicken, but if they walk in a chicken coop, it's like, hey, so it works. Yeah. That's what I'm going to say. Now, I'm going to stick my neck out and say that the skunks that I encounter have no lesson for me. And the reason I'm going to say that is I cannot imagine all of these suicidal spirit animals coming my way.
Well, they give themselves, like your cattle give themselves for meals and stuff. They give themselves as well. Let's see, skunk. Be assertive and stand your ground as necessary. And don't let yourself be manipulated or pushed around. Make your self-respect and dignity a top priority, offering the same respect to others. You're taking yourself far too seriously and need to relax, play, and trust that everything is all right. So I could see why you're stacking up dead skunks like cordwood.
I'm actually shocked that is the skunk's byline. That's what that shocks me. I don't think of a skunk. I mean, I have to admit, they do stand their own ground. They'll walk right up to you and just keep right on walking. They don't give a rat's ass. So I did learn something there. But yeah, that's the one animal that just needs to learn to stay the hell out of my way, because I have very little patience.
There's another one here, kind of down where your sensuality and sexuality are in a heightened state right now. So explore the uses of natural scents and essential oils. Do with that as you will.
And fornicate under the window. But anyway, when we're talking about that type of phenomenon, I do believe, like I said, that sometimes if we can catch the cues of the universe, they do try to teach us lessons. But these are not to be mistaken for spirit animals. What let's just
not necessarily, but they can still be messengers as well. They don't have to be your spiritual animal, but I can see where some of them would say, like, okay, I got another order for another 12 skunks for Forsyth because he's not getting his lesson, and so here they come marching out of the woods and to fall prey to your shotgun. But just to keep reminding you. I mean, it's like I remember a story of, usually when I get these nice, and if you can see it above my picture up there, there's a. I shouldn't show that because it's illegal, but some of these feathers that we get, and they're found inside the roads where, like, a hawk or some other raptor is blown right into a utility want line, and down they go, and they gift themselves the feathers and the wings for feather fans and things like that. And I saw a friend of mine one time, was up in Dakotas, and he said that he was an Indian guy, and he said that. Finally, they got so many, like, it stopped. We got enough. We thank you for your gift, So, they got plenty of hawks. They have plenty of those because they're there for a reason. And, as some animals' reason is for food, other animals, their spirits are there to help heighten our awareness if we are willing to listen.
Now, from the chat room, it was asked, and you brought it up, and I kind of glossed over it. You mentioned some animals are we encounter as totem animals versus spirit animals. What is the difference in a spirit animal and a totem animal?
A spirit animal is one you can see in your environment. In like where I live, there's no bears, and so if I had a bear, a spirit animal would be a totem. But okay, hawk is one of them. So hawks fine because there's plenty of hawks around here. But yeah, or you with the red wolf, you're not going to see one in Kentucky because they're almost extinct. Those are the totem animals. Those you can't. You have no chance. If you see one of these escape from the zoo or something like that, that's some reason that you would see it because it's just not there. Now, bear or something like that could happen where I live because they're about a state south, so it's not impossible. But it's basically almost impossible to see. Some people have what they call dragon medicine, spirit animals, and so that would be a totem. You also get sort of into the mythical realm as well, with dragon energy. And so, but basically, if I can walk any animal, I can go out my front door or take a reasonable drive and see, would be a spirit animal, where the totem animal would be like if it's a grizzly bear, polar bear, they weren't near me, so those would be totem animals. But they're just as equally as strong and powerful to you. Totem animals, we keep thinking about them and things like that. You look up the meanings and get the message, or they come to you in dreams, however. Shamanically, they'll come to you in shamanic journeys, or in meditation. They'll come to you in meditation if you're a meditator. So yeah, I mean, they just put out to the universe that I want to meet my spirit animals or totem animals, or whatever you got for me to show me. I want to meet them. And you get them in time. I've gotten 4, and they don't all come at once. As you get down the path, you'll get a new one sometimes. And not everybody does, I don't think, but I think you can.
I think I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway because it came from the chat room, and it is a really good question. When we think of spirit animals, we think of the wolves and the... That's the one that comes to mind. But actually, hawks come to mind. So there's actually a meme going around. It's not a meme, but it's a photo going around Facebook now that's got like a dozen animals in it that are all kind of blurred together, and allegedly the one that pops out when you first look at it, that's your spirit animal. Interestingly enough, the wolf did pop out for me. But could a dragonfly be a spirit animal?
Sure can. Dragonflies are about change and things happening, so he is an agent of change. Dragonfly could be your spirit animal, certainly. Just because it's an insect doesn't mean it's something that you just fluff off. Ant could be one of your spirit animals. It's you're diligent and you put away for a rainy day and take care of things and take care of your family, your colony. So yeah, I mean every animal. I tend to shy away from domesticated animals, domesticated cats, domesticated dogs, things like that, because you could kind of say they kind of lost that part of them because they're actually serving in a different way, because they're friends to humans and they do kind of a different role.
And I would think the familiarity would in other words, it would weaken. In other words, they're not going to teach you the lesson because you're feeding me.
Yeah, exactly. There's a conflict of interest there.
Good way to put it. I guess it's time for our next commercial break. Everybody, we'll be right back with more Body and Spirit, brought to you by Mama Ruby's family of holistic and metaphysical shows.
Do you feel lost in life? Do you seem to be stuck in emotions that are not yours? Is your home not the sanctuary it should be? Contact Spirit Mechanics, where they take a team approach to your metaphysical and spiritual problems. Spirit Mechanics specializes in aura cleansing, stone attunement, attachment removal, and house cleansings. Spirit Mechanics tailors their approach to your individual spiritual path and needs. Find them every month at Lexington, Kentucky's Mystical Fair, mysticalfairlex.com, or on Facebook by searching Spirit Mechanics, that's MECHANIX. Spirit Mechanics, for your spiritual health and well-being.
Coyote Chris Sutton.
Shamanism.
Spiritual advisement.
Paranormal investigations.
Inspirational presentations.
Bringing light to the darkest places for over 20 years. Go to coyotechris.com to learn more.
And welcome back, everybody, to Body and Spirit, brought to you by Mama Ruby's. Now, of course, we're talking spirit animals tonight, but first, before we even get back to spirit animals, Chris has had body parts replaced lately. When do you get back into the fray, boy?
I get back in the fray August the 10th. For you guys that haven't heard out there, in January I had my left hip replaced, and I thought I could play it cool and loose because my right one was just as bad. And I thought, well, I'll wait till after Thanksgiving, get done, and keep my usual schedule. Well, that wasn't to be. So I went to the surgeon, and we got the second one replaced a week ago for Monday. So it's been about 11, 12 days. I'm doing really good. So I mean, I'll be by August the 10th will be my first event after the surgery, and so that gives me 6 weeks. And so I'm actually walking pretty good right now. You'd be amazed. I mean, this is how this surgery stuff goes. A cane right now is optional. I don't have to use a cane if I don't want to, but it hurts, and it doesn't make the pain go away like that. But it's a lot better than what it could have been. That's for sure. But yeah, I should be back to work in 3 weeks. I mean, by the third week after surgery, and then I'll be back on the road again. So actually, we're going to the place you and I have been to before together for our school, and we're having a benefit for Will and Jacqueline Conkle, who had some kind of hard times, like a car catching on fire, and Will breaking his ankle in 20 places, and he's a laborer, so they've had some rough ways to go. So if you go to Parafamily event on Facebook, you can get the link to get tickets and things like that, and then check it out. It's a real worthwhile event.
Now, by the way, I didn't do it to you when you were going in for surgery. We had a friend that got an infection when he had his hip replaced, and they had to take the hip out, and he had to go for like 30 days without a hip.
Yeah, they put like a block of stuff in there.
Yeah,
that's all antiseptic and stuff like that. Yeah, I've heard of that before. So I tell you what, this guy, if you ever had to have it replaced, I would say you drive from Kentucky to this guy, because this dude, he's got everything taken care of. I mean, I have to wear these socks for a whole month to make sure blood clot doesn't kill me. All this stuff around, hygiene and all this other, it's just, watching the surgical scar and things like that. It's just, I mean, this guy's making sure that shit don't happen. But it can happen in the rest of the time. So, but if it hasn't happened by now, I'm okay. So.
Well,
thank you for bringing it up. I'll sleep.
We are all certainly glad that you are recovering quickly and speedily and without undue shit going on. Now back to spirit animals. And I forgot what my next question was going to be. Do people as now when I was told about mine, it's not something I even asked about. It was just part of a overall shamanic reading, and he felt like that was information that I could use or needed or whatever. Is that something that as a shaman, do people approach you about that? Is that one of the things in your readings that comes up regularly, or do you find that most people just don't?
It's not on the radar. Talking about spirit animals?
Yeah.
I mean, readings, talking to people, anytime I do any kind of class. I have a group that meets once a month in town here at Domino Springs, and it's not all shamanism, it's a lot of other stuff, but that's one of the most popular questions, I would say, knowing who their spirit guides were and who their spirit animals were, and how to make connections to both would be two really big questions. I mean, if they're in the shamanic mindset of things, otherwise it's, they want to read you like anybody else would, but I always tell people, I am not a fortune teller, I do shaman stuff, but it's all good. It's who might turn anybody down most of the time. But it's a huge question, and I understand. I'm still,
like I said, in my case, other than the one event. Now that you've told me some stuff about what the wolf means, okay, yeah, it makes some sense to me. But it wasn't. Considering I'm so into animals, like everybody, one of the reasons you keep seeing Anita, my producer's arm, is because we have a dog in here that thinks it's time for me to go to bed. So I'm, our bed is a field of dogs. So that's kind of where I come from. But I'm still knowing what my spirit animal was. Now I can apply it. I apply it in the spiritual realm, in the metaphysical field. In other words, I know I've got that tool at my. I think of it as a tool at my disposal. But I think we kind of touched on this. But how does having that connection help the average person?
Even if, okay, you're talking about an average person that does or does not have awareness of the spirit animal.
Your casual Facebook person who just wants to know about their spirit animal more out of curiosity. In other words, they're not leverage. In other words, they're not seeking. They're not actively seeking to leverage it, but how could they leverage it?
Well,
that makes sense.
It makes sense. You have to interact with it one way or the other. You have to acknowledge it. I know people who are into owls. My sister's into owls, and she kind of sees that. She doesn't actively. She admires what I do, and she has her own way of believing stuff. So she's not in the shamanic thing, but she really sees kind of the owl as her spirit animal. With regards to what she's trying to be, she's not being metaphysical at all. She just kind of feels an affinity to it, and a cosmic kind of closeness to it. And so she has owl stuff around. And so, as far as for her, it gives her that. She knows what the owl is. It's about wisdom and things like that, and so and about using your wisdom in good ways. So she does that. That's what these do. That helps remind her again what she does in life, because she likes to teach. She's been a teacher her whole life, and so an owl's a perfect spirit animal for a teacher.
Well, I want to follow up on what you just said a little bit. The outside of domesticated animals, as you pointed out, is a person likely to be drawn to their spirit animal either by form or image?
Sure. That's very possible. They may not know why.
Well, I didn't say is it possible, I said is it likely?
I don't know. I've never done a quantitative study of it, so I can't tell you.
But you talk to people.
I would say it is likely, yes, that you may not know why, but you will have an affinity to it. Like you're watching National Geographic. Oh, I love the giraffe, and every time they got a giraffe keychain because giraffes are so cool, and like my son with penguins, he loves penguins, and even though he has his own medicine thing, he has a different, it's much different than mine, but he was there since he was little. He loves penguins, and so there's penguin in medicine there for him. So yeah, I would say anytime you have affinity for an animal and you don't know why, it doesn't make who the hell thinks a warthog's cute, But
no,
some people are drawn to it.
Would you say now, based on what you just said, would you say that we choose our spirit animal chooses us, or the universe chooses it for us?
It is I think it's more of a universal thing, but I will say this: if you feel drawn to a certain animal, you can ask for a certain animal as well. You're not totally without choice. It doesn't mean that's what you're going to get. It depends on what reason that you want it for. But I think mostly it starts with our higher selves, as some people call it, our connection with spirit, and spirit decides, or this is what this person needs to, to help him become more self-actualized, is to take on the qualities or the meanings behind this animal. And so when I started doing psychic work, that was the first thing I ever did out of all my medicine work. The hawk was my medicine animal then, because they see far, and then seers can have animals that see a long way. So that was my first one to help me.
But Hawk Chris Sutton didn't have a ring to it, did it?
No, it didn't. It didn't look good on business cards. But actually, somebody else begged me with that first, and then I counsel along with it. So, but yeah, the answer, be succinct to my answer, yes, I think it's mostly spiritually driven.
Okay. Let's go ahead and knock in our final commercial break of the hour, and then we'll come back in and do a little more body and spirit.
All right.
Everyone is talking about CBD oil. Most of us know that CBD is a cannabis compound that has significant medical benefits, but does not make people high. Its benefits include pain relief, anti-seizure properties, anxiety relief, fights cancer, reduces the risk of diabetes, and it is even used as a sleep aid. Blue Leaf Naturals CBD and hemp products are full-spectrum hemp extract oils. They use only hemp grown in Kentucky, supporting Kentucky farmers and businesses and helping you and your family stay healthy and well. Blue Leaf Naturals, created with care from seed to shelf. Visit their website at blueleafnaturals.com. Blue Leaf Naturals, a Kentucky proud company.
And if you're interested in Blue Leaf Naturals, go to the Mystical Fair Lexington. They will have a booth set up. They've got some sample sizes if you don't want to make a big investment. But one thing that you should look for when you're doing the CBD oil, it is important that it is organically grown here in Kentucky under the Kentucky Pride label. First of all, just economically, that's the economics of it makes sense if you're here in Kentucky with me. But the other thing is, since CBD has become mainstream, if you will, so much of it is being imported and the ingredients are not up to par. But when you see that Kentucky Pride label on it, you know that it is going out under the proper controls that give you a pure product that will most likely meet your needs. BlueLeafNaturals.com. Now, another sponsor that I need to give a big plug to because they've never given me a script, and so I don't have a really cool commercial made for them. Akashic Awareness, Elizabethtown, Kentucky. A metaphysical healing and learning center unlike any other in Kentucky. A large selection of crystals, gems, and minerals greet you the minute you walk in the door. They offer a good selection of metaphysical tools, state-of-the-art healing classes, and lectures. Keep abreast of all that's going on. Stop by their website, AkashicAwareness.com, AKASHIC awareness.com. Check them out. They'll be at the Mystical Fair also this weekend, set up. And coming up on, well, I guess that's while they're gone. That's pretty good. They will be, Mark and Shelley will be at the Mystical Fair, but their place will still be open. Reiki with Nancy. Nancy, one of their practitioners, will be doing Reiki. Then Thursday the 18th, Rachel Centron will be back down there doing massage therapy. Go to their website. They've always got something on their calendar. AkashicAwareness.com. Well, I think I about beat through this spirit animal thing. You've answered my questions unusually well for you. You've been very succinct tonight.
That's just because I'm still healing, you know. Getting out of that morphine fog and stuff, and so yeah, I'm kind of cooperative tonight. I will have to say that. Usually I give you a harder time.
This is true. Just to kind of round out the discussion on it, and I may have already asked this in a different way, but now, short of going to a shaman or whoever, a psychic, is there any way for a person that just wants to connect to their spirit animal, do you think that they can just do that through meditation themselves, or is that something they should be guided to?
You might need some help with the interpretation, but no, I mean, I tell people this all the time, that, you know, especially if you live, you know, when it's nice out, go to a nearby park or, you know, someplace where it's not a ton of people. I have a great little nature institute not too far from where I live. Go out there and find you a stump or a place to sit and just feel and just meditate and, you know, ask for the animals to come and visit you. You know, that's at the perfect times you can see what comes around, and, you know, repeat until you see, you know, if you repeat a few times until you see what happens, what comes around you. And sometimes it takes them a while because you open the door up and say, hey, I'd like to meet my spirit animal now. It doesn't mean they're going to come rushing right up to you. You got to show some inclination that you're serious about it. You know, this isn't some, you know, cutesy thing, because they're not going to play that. They want to feel you out and make sure that you're ready for these messages. You're not going to blow them off and waste their time. So you have to go in there with open heart, open mind, and just put out there, I will accept anything. I just want to know, I would love to meet my spirit animal. You can do the same thing through meditation. There are a lot of different types of guided meditations talk about journeying and going to certain places, and those will work. The shamanic journey will work, but then you start to do the shamanic journeys. That's kind of, you're more into the thick of things, and if you're just kind of a casual wanting to figure it out. But yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that. There's no you don't have to pass some secret test to go out and find your spirit animal. You can go do that, sure.
Now,
the thing is, you have to be honest with yourself about it. If you see a groundhog keep coming around, you can't say, well, I don't want a groundhog. Well, too bad. You got a groundhog for now. I mean, groundhog's cool. Groundhog's smart. Knows the ways of the earth. Is grounded. I mean,
that's actually,
groundhog's really cool.
That actually plays right into my next question. People come to you and say, ask about their spirit animals. Ask, what is in your opinion, if you even have an opinion on this, what is the most mundane spirit animal that you have come across?
I can't say that any of them are mundane. They all have something. I mean, everybody thinks that having an eagle, especially a bald eagle, that's what you want to. That's what you have to have, with a wolf or something big and tough, or something really crazy. But none of them are. There's no animal that's any mightier than the other one when it comes to this type of stuff, because we all need different things. And we were talking earlier about dragonflies, and a little bitty old dragonfly, means as much as a grizzly bear. Why? Because a dragonfly teaches us about changing ourselves and helping others to change in a positive way. What could be more helpful to yourself and to the people around you than that? So yeah, there's no such thing as a mundane. Now, people will say, "Oh, it's they're not being serious about what's going on."
I just wondered if because in the infant universe of animals, I mean, there's a lot of animals out there, and I was just wondering if there's like one of them that just like meant. In other words, it's not so much that the animal's mundane, but they're like their life lesson is like eat more cheese,
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I was going to see if they got dung beetle in here, but I don't think they do. You have to wonder about the dung beetle.
Well, see, now I could sit here and I could come up with a very good life lesson. I would not be surprised if the dung beetle, knowing some of the shit that I go through, was my spirit animal. See, that would make perfect sense to me.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah. See, that would make perfect sense to me.
See that. But they're industrious and they do a job, and so good for the dung beetle. Yeah, no, it all can play into something much larger. But there's no, it's like you got screwed, you got a chipmunk, or something like that. No, it's not.
Okay, I did. Well, see, the reason I asked that, although it sounds like a flippant, funny question, and I guess it really was, but I just know that when I do my readings, sometimes the answers are like, this is it. One woman asked me if should I leave my husband? And first of all, I'm thinking, you ask a $5 psychic if you should leave your husband. But then the cards came up, and the message, one card, normally I do more than one card. One card came up, and it basically was a picture of a guy running off a roof with his hair on fire. And I said, he is going to do something so stupid you won't even have to ask. I said, I'm not telling you you're going to you leave your husband.
That's right.
But the message that I get is it's going to be so freaking obvious that, and it's going to be because he runs off a roof with his hair on fire. It's going to be that blatant.
Where do you get these cards? Yes. Did you show me this deck? Is this a new deck you have?
No, that's the Terror of Fire, dude. That's a classic.
Oh, that's your one. Yes.
It's a Terror of Fire.
Used by top psychics everywhere. Yes.
Really? That is one of my serious decks. It's not like the Cat Tarot, although I get my best readings off the Cat Tarot, but no, the Tarot of Fire, but it's actually a traditional deck, but one of the one of the paintings, that's what it is, and because I just look at the pretty pictures, that's the message that I got.
Sometimes that's all you got to do. Just look at the pretty pictures and let it come to you from that. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's all I got, dude. That is all I got. And of course, everybody, now you'll be seeing Chris on Scarefest Radio periodically through the next couple of months as we lead up to the Scarefest. But he is coming in for the Scarefest, so if you don't want to drive to Iowa,
yeah,
see him there.
Yes, I live in Illinois. Actually, I just been having my summer in Iowa for some reason. So, well, I got a couple more. Illinois. I got a gig in Indiana this year. August the 28th. Hunt the town. You're gonna do like about 6-7 different places. With me and Doogie from the Ray Chasers. A couple of. I think the Booths are gonna be there too. So it'll be kind of a rowdy time. But yeah, no, I got some a little bit different. But yeah, I had to cancel an Iowa gig because of my surgery though. But I'll be up there too 3 more times this year. I think I'll end up in November. But yeah, no, I get, I'm getting around, like I'm doing some Illinois gigs this year, which is cool. I don't have to drive as far. And I've already done my long road trip. I went to Buffalo to the Hinsdale House last weekend before last, right? Like I said in the last show, I got off the plane on Sunday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was on the operating table by 8 o'clock the next morning, or 9 o'clock, something like that. So I was quite ready for it too, man. I was a hurting puppy by the time my ass got home, got back to St. Louis. So, I don't care, we talking about, people being mystical, and have all this, these powers, and you have energies and stuff that the universe gives you to work with and whatnot. But your physical body, what's the name of your body and the spirit, your body will kick your ass, okay? And so you got to pay attention to your body. I mean, I let this kind of stuff just kind of ride for a while, and I'm telling everybody, don't do that. I put stuff off, and like my body's all busted up, but my spirit is still strong. But I will tell you this, I'm going to give you this one piece of advice, Wes, and I realize this. Okay, so you think to yourself, I'm having surgery, and I'm going to have this time where I'm going to sit back and reflect and maybe make changes in what I'm doing, in my events and things like that, in both sides of my career, my muggle job and my job, my spiritual jobs and things like that. But after trying to do that a little bit, I realized that since I was on morphine and Percocets, it's not a good time to make rational decisions. So I'm going to tell you this. You ever have to go to any surgery like this and you just got to go out on the drugs for a while? Don't. Just heal. Don't try to do anything other than that, because you're going to make bad. I was thinking about some of the decisions. I'm going to do this and this and this. I looked at it a week later. I thought, holy Christ. I can't. No,
I try. I will not make life plans while I'm taking it, but I will say some good meditation back when I had a bad toothache. That's so everybody.
Yeah, how many do you want me to bring you? Oh, we're supposed to talk after the show. Never mind. Okay.
Everybody, that's been Body and Spirit for tonight. We're kind of transitioning the show. You should see some differences. We're deciding where to go with it, and we're going to be making some changes. But the whole conversational aspect of it. So we took last month off because, well, I was busy, and we had the big Mama Ruby's event up in Louisville that just totally blew me away, wore me out. But Body and Spirit is back. Look for us every couple of 3 weeks. Everybody, tonight's guest has been Coyote Chris Sutton. Find him at coyotechris.com. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Thanks, Wes.